Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Trans and Transparent. We are joined here today by a certain somebody who's been here before. Would you like to introduce yourself again?
Hi, I'm Eliah, and I've been here on the podcast, I think, in September, like November
It's been a
last year.
while.
Yeah,
It's
it's
been
been a
a
while.
hot minute,
Yeah.
honestly. I think you were on the podcast before we even started doing thumbnails and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah. And then I started bullying Hunter into
Yes.
inviting me again.
Yes.
And it worked.
It did.
So here
I'm
I
a
am.
pushover. So here we are. But also, like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the people who listen to the podcast also know who you are, in the sense of we have done a lot of work together through Atlas and everything, and you're the co-founder together with Benji and all of this. Kind of the OG founder, technically, back to the Starboy days. So yeah, so it's always fun to, hang out,
Yeah.
be back on the podcast together. And because last time the two of us were in an episode together, Benji was also here, and then like we didn't really necessarily, I mean, I was asking y'all questions, but I didn't have that much to say.
Yeah, and also I feel like we're not that close yet.
No.
And like now I live in Sweden too, and we've really like started having like a real friendship. And I think we always have discussions that are so fun. We're like, might as well record it.
Yes. So here we are.
Yeah.
So strap in and strap on and get ready for a fun and exhilarating episode.
Music.
Tell me how much you love me. Tell me you'll never doubt me. Tell me how much I changed your life. Say you can't
So
live
one
without
thing
me.
that
Tell me
like
I'll take you lazy.
we have in common and that we've talked a lot about was like kind of the trans doubt. And I feel like both of our transitions kind of started with more like trans euphoria rather than dysphoria. And I think that's like something that not enough people necessarily talk about all the time. Like there's a lot of focus on dysphoria, which is fair, reasonable. It's a big part of it. But I think for us, since we both kind of noticed more through the euphoria, I think is an interesting topic. And I would
Yeah.
love to hear more of like how that was for you. I've talked a little bit about it on the podcast, but yeah, let me know.
I think it's important to talk about it because I always thought I was the only one feeling like that. And then when I started talking about it on the social media, on the internet,
On the internet, on the interwebs.
I was shocked how many people felt relieved by what I was sharing and felt less alone. And I was like, oh, like it also made me feel better. And I felt even better when then I talked about it with with you and other friends, and everybody agreed. And then I thought I was a minority in the trans community, and actually I think we tend to talk more about dysphoria than euphoria or that we say that you must, like, how to say that? You have to have dysphoria to be trans or stuff like that. Almost like kind of in a pick me way, and I include myself too, that like towards other cis people that we're afraid of like not being accepted because we're not accepted.
Yeah.
And so we try to like be trans but still fit in to like not too trans or not too different, I guess.
No, but I hear you. I think like also there's this level of like when you are focusing more on the euphoria, I guess, and when you haven't necessarily been like experienced dysphoria from like a really young age. I think, to be fair, most people who do then come out and realize that they are trans then can look back and find a lot of dysphoria.
Yes.
But maybe you weren't able to pinpoint it throughout your childhood in the same way from like when you were a kid. But then once you find more of that, like, or once you start transitioning, I think a lot of dysphoria does pop up.
Yes.
Kind of.
When someone asks me, can I be trans without dysphoria? I always say yes. And I've never met someone who's trans who didn't have dysphoria. So in my head, I'm like, maybe it exists. I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
It's just that the reason I say yes to that person is because I was in their position and I know it's so hard to see it. So, and it's very hard to explain. So I'm just like, don't focus on that right now. Like, this is not the important part.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be like the first thing that you look at or the first thing that you necessarily pay attention to. Because I remember when I started transitioning, and like you can let me know how you felt like the other direction, I guess, but for me, I remember in the beginning, I like took several months of figuring out, okay, well, I felt great when I was dolled up that day because I started doing drag at the time. And you know, for me, that was like an experience of like, oh wow, this is what it feels like to be alive kind of vibe. But however, I was like still then, I guess, not like, it wasn't like soul crushing dysphoria in every single moment or soul crushing like this and that in every single day of my life. So I was like, oh wait, but does that mean that I'm like not on the right path if I start transitioning? Does that mean that I'm not valid as a trans person? And I think those thoughts were very like hard for me to like come to grips with. I think the first year, honestly, it was hard because I was also in this kind of limbo of like starting to grow out my hair, starting to do this and that, and like it was hard because I felt very like uncomfortable in certain moments because you end up looking more visibly queer and trans, I guess, which is also scary. It can be terrifying, you know what I mean? And
then you doubt yourself because you have doubts.
Exactly. So it's like it's a vicious spiral. I think what just helped for me at least was like time. And then as time went by and I started feeling like euphoric over more and more things.
Yes, time and experience.
Exactly. Time and experience. And also I guess taking in more perspective and like learning from other people and like finding things that worked for me, for example, or whatever. And then just kind of becoming more comfortable. And then I mean now I have no doubts. There's no doubt in my mind. Like I feel 100% every single time. I feel, you know, very much confirmed, and this is 100% correct for me. But didn't start out that way. How like, and I think a lot of people get wrapped up in the, oh, it has to feel perfect overnight. You have to go from day to night. Like let's say you have short hair, you have to start wearing wigs every single second, or you have to start doing your makeup like a full glam, full beat every single day and wear mini dresses. I don't think that's accurate, and I don't think that's realistic.
And I'm even surprised that you're saying that now, because like this is not the story we're told. Or like what we usually, like even as trans people, it's not something that we like to share, or that, like I don't know for you, but I think for me, I was struggling to share that with other trans people because you're afraid that you're not valid as a trans person. So then you don't want to show that. And then people say, oh, but you're not trans. And they're like, okay, what have I done with my life then?
Yeah. I think I felt that fully for the first 2-3 years. Or first 2 years, I was very like, I remember I did not take a single, like I very, very, very rarely would take a photo of myself if I was not in a wig with makeup on. I would never take any pictures on Snapchat if I was talking to somebody. I refused. I did not want people to know that I had days where I would be relaxed. And being relaxed, I also think is like necessary to the human experience. Because what do you mean? I'm not going to be glammed up every single second of every single day. That just make me less valid as a person. It makes me lazy. You know what I mean? Like, and I think sometimes people want to like use that like as an excuse to deny you or to like keep you out of the club, when I don't think that's fair, you know?
Yeah. No, but I definitely relate with what you said with the how long it takes. That's also a part that I think is not talked about enough. Like that, I always thought that trans people always knew, and they're just not telling anyone. So that's why I thought I couldn't be trans. And then the same thing with what you said before, that you felt good, but you didn't hate yourself. Like when you were out of drag, I had the same thing where I remember one time, I don't know if it's TMI, but I was just naked and I just looked at my body and I was like, I don't feel anything bad right now. Like this is just my body. And it's just like, you're so used to feeling dysphoric all the time that's just your default emotion.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's why you think you don't have any dysphoria, and it just takes time until you start feeling very euphoric, and then the dysphoria comes after, because that's the exception.
Yeah.
And then you notice it.
Yeah.
Because usually you feel good and you're like, why do I feel bad now?
Exactly. And it's also so interesting because as the changes start happening, you're like, oh, fab. Like this is how I'm
Is
supposed
that how
to feel.
cis people feel?
That's how cis people feel
Life
in their
is so
bodies.
easy for them.
Oh my god. Because then if you were to like look back, it's like, oh no, like I would never want to go back to where I was then. You know what I mean? Like I would never want to go back to where I was like pre-hormones and pre-transition and everything. I look back and I'm like, that looks like a different person. That is a different person. That's not me now. That's not me today. However, I think like it took a lot of years and it took a lot of unwinding those like thought processes in my head to be able to get to where I am today. Because I remember like I was considering transitioning for a long time. And I kind of had it like in the back of my head, like, okay, if I do put on like a full wig and everything, I'm pretty sure it's over for me. And it was. That is what happened. But it wasn't like those days before that completely were awful for me. Looking back, kind of.
Yeah, but you don't realize it because
You
you're
don't
just
realize
in
it,
it.
yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. And I think all the anxiety you talked about, or the doubt, and not knowing, and the fear also, I think are things that could be avoided for the next generation of trans people. Or it could be easier if we were educated about it. But we literally have nothing but, or very little education, and most of it is just like our own community who like tries to share things. I think that's why it's so important that we share our story so people know that like this is normal.
I agree.
Those feelings, and that's part of it, and it doesn't make you any less trans.
Yeah. And I have a lot of like thoughts on it too, because in a sense, I've thought of it this way, and this is something I've been thinking a little bit about. Like, we are lucky to have more, I guess, like we're lucky to have found ourselves and to have gone through it quite early. Like technically we still started early if you compare it to certain other people. Yes, I wish I would have started in my teenage years and not have gone through puberty like that, but at the same time I feel like it's also given me a lot of understanding and a lot of compassion for other people. I just think that like a lot of people they have moments, right? Like maybe they didn't realize their whole life, but then they have moments where, okay, something happened. Somebody dared them to put on a wig. Somebody dared them to put on a dress. And maybe in that moment they're like, oh,
I like this.
I like this. And maybe that happens when they're 35. Who knows? Because to certain people, maybe it's like, yeah, the thought has crossed their mind, but they kind of just want to ignore it. Like,
but that's what I meant before. It's not only time, it's experience that
yes.
matters. And what do you do with this time? Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And also, like, if you are in a world or if you're in a scenario where that's not at all in your vicinity and you don't have that around you, it might be a lot harder to come to grips with it. It might be a lot harder to learn about it. Like, people have insane shame spirals about being trans.
Yeah.
And those walls can be tough to break through too.
And sometimes you don't even know they exist.
No.
Like I remember so many times that I thought, oh, life would be so much better if I was a guy. But I didn't think it was possible.
No, but I remember like people ask me that, or like I talked about that many times with my friends. I was like, yeah, if I could push a button and wake up as a girl, I would.
Yeah.
And that's where it stayed. Like, that's what it, you know?
Yes, but I would always remember, like, when I was like 8 years old or 10 years old, one of my friend, like guy best friend, told me like, oh, so if you could be a guy, you would, or would you rather be a guy? I was like, yeah, obviously. And I didn't think about it. I just answered. And he looked so shocked. And I think that's one of the first time I denied it after, but I think that wasn't one of the first time I was like, oh,
I know.
Do not all girls want a dick? Like,
no, definitely not. I think a lot of times we get stuck in this like just seeing the typical, most stereotypical viewpoint of a trans person, which would be somebody who knew at the age of 4, hated everything that they wore when they were a kid, and this and that and the next thing. And like, I think I mean, of course, that is a good thing to bring up. There are a lot of kids who are, you know, trans and who know from a very young age. And I think that's important to talk about as well. However, I do genuinely feel that it is like not very talked about, the fact that a lot of people do realize later.
Yes.
And maybe it takes some years to process it too, because society's not easy on trans people. It is hard to deal with. And I think sometimes it's also funny because people are a lot harsher on people who start transitioning later or who might like not be aware of it for a long time than they are on like people who are 30, 40 who come out as gay. Because there's like, oh, it's been deep down. Okay, makes sense. Like, yeah, if that's what you say, then yeah.
Yeah, I think it's crazy how even within the community or even with allies, there's still so much, how do you say, prejudice or like wrong ideas? Or how do you say that? When you have like a misunderstanding of what being trans really is.
Yeah.
For sure. And again, like I find it so sad that like there's so much transphobia because it's something, of course, like we've always been here, but it's something new, like that we talk about, like and everything. And it's so sad that people are fighting against it because we bring so much interesting topics.
Yes.
Like there's so much interesting thing, so many interesting discussions and debates that we could have instead of are we allowed to be alive or not? Like
yeah, literally.
Literally. Like, we could bring so much progress by like we have a view of gender that no one else has. We have lives that no one else has. And I'm just like, this is fun. This is cool. Why is everyone like freaking about it?
Yeah.
Like
no, I agree. And it's kind of crazy that is the standard conversation that ends up being brought to the table. It's sad. I hear you.
Yeah. Also, like when there is trans representation, you were talking about, there was mostly like people who were really young. And when we see older trans people like 20s, 30s, very often they're depressed, sad, they suffered abuse or like, which can be the case very often because trans people are a marginalized group. But it's not the truth for everyone, or it's not related to being trans.
No, exactly.
Like, and I see that also with other people. Like my parents struggle so much with my transition because that was their representation of trans people. They thought me being trans was a horrible news. Like, oh no, our kid is gonna die or be depressed. That's yes.
Yeah.
So it was so hard for them to accept. And then when they started seeing a trans guy, just living his life and being happy, they were like, oh, so this is what actually being trans is.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot of like suffering, but it's because of transphobia. It's not like, I mean, there's also dysphoria, but anyway.
Yeah.
Like the hardest part is people, honestly. I feel like how they react. Because when you're with people who are like treat you well and respect you, like most of that like kind of goes away.
Yeah.
And like
100%.
Yeah. And so I think it's also interesting how the representation of trans people, of like them always being sad or like having a bad life basically, affects us so much.
Yeah, I hear you. Another interesting like subject on that matter is that like I remember especially, and this was something like I thought about a lot in the beginning of my transition, that like when I was around people who loved me and cared for me and who like also are understanding of transness, I felt so at ease and so at home in my own body, and I didn't necessarily think as much about me being trans. But in any other scenario, whenever I was around anybody else, that's when I experienced the most amounts of dysphoria and the most amounts of like, oh fuck, is this like, does my body look good right now? Does it look feminine? Am I wearing a like, am I valid almost? Which is crazy that it has to be like that, but that's kind of what it felt like, you know what I mean? Like, and like, okay, do I pass enough in this scenario, or do I this and that and yada 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 yada? And it was so hard, especially in the beginning. I felt really bad, like it was not fun. And then whenever I would be around my friends and around other trans people, it's like, no girl, I got you, like I get you. And then I was like, oh my god, like it should honestly be that simple. It doesn't have to be that fucking crazy hard.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was just something that really did kind of spiral a lot of thoughts inside me, and I thought a lot about that topic specifically. And I think that's also why I I like this podcast in the sense of being able to tackle so many different topics along those lines, and kind of like, because I felt very alone in my thinking, and I felt very alone around, I think also especially like in ballroom, like the dolls are very hyper femme. The dolls are very this and that. Like they're cut down. And I love my ballroom girls. And the thing is, a lot of us have a harder front, and like we do a lot, put in a lot of effort, but there is a lot of softness underneath that surface that I don't think everyone realizes. And I think we sometimes don't think that other trans girls might feel that way.
It's like every trans person, you know, like a bit for transition, like let's say 2 years in HR, like even before, every one of you trans friend, every time they like, oh, I feel dysphoric today, like, bitch, why? Like, because from the outside you see how real they look, but then when someone says that to you, like, what do you mean you feel dysphoric? So it's always, we tend to almost forget that they feel like us sometimes.
Yeah. And then I mean, there are people in the community who do judge like crazy. I hate this whole like conservative pipeline, these girls that and
This is
trans
just
men, like
so pick me.
these pick me conservative trans people. I'm
People want to
sorry.
be like accepted by other cis people, so they just bring down.
Maybe they're always gonna hate
Like,
you.
I'm trans, but I'm not that trans. That's
okay. Good for you. Like, it's
anyway.
crazy. I'm actually gonna do a post about that today on
Yeah.
Instagram. So
Yeah.
okay,
But that's
stay
what I
tuned.
want to say before with the podcast is like, it's so nice to be able to talk about subject like that on the podcast, because being trans and like trans related topics can be so intricate and like complicated, and so many levels to it that sometimes it's so hard to like answer TikTok, like in a 30-second TikTok.
Yes.
Like just like the dysphoria thing.
Yes.
If someone says like, can you be trans without dysphoria? You're supposed to answer that like in 20 seconds. Like, I need to explain an entire like thing.
Yeah, it's
you know?
layered.
Like, yeah,
it's a layered subject.
Exactly.
For
So
sure.
it's nice to also have like a podcast and talk about things like that, so you can actually.
And I love to yap, so
Yeah,
it's not a problem for me. Yeah. So like, and on that note, like another thing that I've thought a lot about, especially when you want to talk about like the representation of dolls, a lot of times, at least the ones who get very visible and the ones who I guess are more so accepted in society, are the ones who are incredibly like feminine and incredibly beautiful and all of these things. And I think that's great. Like, love that shine.
even by the trans community, which is surprising.
Yes.
Like, the trans community also tends to like prefer, or I don't know how to say, like, give more visibility to more real trans
and
people.
what I wanted to like, however, like the little the thing that I think about it is also so interesting that like people don't want to, because for example, I like to sometimes have a little bit more of like a, I don't know, ish mask outfit, or like have elements that are not necessarily like crazy dolled up, or like I don't mind wearing an Atlas jersey. You know what I mean?
And same with cis women. Cis women can also be more masculine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it depends a lot on the country you live in. But like in Stockholm, for example, like a lot of fashion girlies dress in a very street style-esque aesthetic. Like that's very fashionable and very cunty. And I love it. And like the girls do it really cunt here. And like, so that's something that I still do enjoy when it comes to fashion. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, like I said, like a mini dress or a mini skirt and all of this all the time. And I think sometimes the people are like, oh, but
who are the people?
But
Say
it
the
can
names.
be no, but it can be cis people, it can be other trans people, it can be a mix of different, just
But like on
in
social
general,
media,
on social
or
media,
too?
just in general.
Okay.
No, not in person, more so what I've noticed online and stuff like that. And I always find it so interesting just because I like both expressions, but I still feel most at home in the feminine. I still feel most at home identifying fully, you know, as a binary trans woman. And that doesn't take away from it. But it's also like, then it comes to, we can sometimes draw the line so far when it comes to passability and like fitting in, that we also forget that like cis people also do that.
Yes, I remember like the same thing for me. Like, I love also dressing feminine or like more feminine stuff, but I struggle a lot to still wear it or use it or whatever. But I thought because of that, because I was very feminine as a girl, I thought I couldn't be trans because of that.
Mm.
Until I saw Gottmik, and I was like, oh, she's fully like
Okay.
drag queen. Like, so why couldn't I like?
Mhm.
But just, it's so stupid. But there's still this like idea of, if you're trans, then you have to like be the most feminine girl, the most masculine guy. Like, my dad almost had not a heart attack, like his brain almost exploded when I said that I wanted to paint my nails as
Yeah.
a trans guy. I was like, but you're a man now. Like, they were
Mhm.
okay with me transitioning, but not like either you're a boy or you're a girl. Like, don't.
Yeah.
Or when I said that some trans guy can be pregnant, he was like,
Huh.
but why would they, like, if they want to be a boy, why would they want to be pregnant? This is weird and everything. And like, yeah. So I think it's interesting how people, like, we understand more and more that cis people don't have to like express in their gender,
Mhm.
but with trans people it's still like,
Yeah.
don't do too much.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're also like, I think people are scared of queerness also. I think
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
scared of like proximity to
To like being androgynous.
yeah, I guess that too. But also like just being free. Because that's another aspect of it that I just find funny. Because a lot of it does boil down to like gender norms and gender roles and everything. And it's just like, let people live and do what they want to do with their bodies. It's not that hard.
That's what we talked about in Midsummer when we were the two of us.
Yes.
That like authenticity.
Yeah.
So many people are afraid of being themselves.
Yes.
Because if you're not yourself and people criticize you, then it doesn't really hurt you. But if you're being yourself and vulnerable and then people criticize you, then it hurts.
Mhm.
And I think like that's also what's scary about trans people for other people.
Yes.
Is how authentic to ourselves we are and how we're like okay with that.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I find it really funny. It's very interesting. These are interesting topics. I love that these are just like, now we're just discussing, I guess, kind of things, just topics, different like thoughts and ideas. And of course, there's no right or wrong answer or like thought on the process, but there's so much to, well, hey, hey.
Sorry. That's a very trans mask thing to interrupt the femme queen.
That I heard. True. True. That is very true. It's okay. It's fine. Yeah. But like, yeah, I just think that like there are fun conversations to be had about transes. I think it's also a very fun topic to talk about. Personally,
it's
I like
fun
it.
to make fun of them.
Right. Those damn
trannies.
Those damn trannies. Yeah. But yeah, and I think like oftentimes we might not give ourselves enough we don't give ourselves enough grace sometimes to also like explore and figure ourselves out. Like I think sometimes it's so strict 100% one direction or the other when it comes to like being sure about something or not being sure about something. I think we need to give ourselves a little bit more time to play around in different things and feel what feels right, what doesn't feel right. Like, for example, for me, I started exploring with makeup, started playing with, different outfits, different silhouettes, and that led to me figuring it out. And that led to me exploring like, okay, well now I want to see if this is 100% for me. Like I want to do the pronouns. I want to use she, her and see how I feel. And
how did you feel the first time somebody said she, her?
It was a little confusing.
Right? Because I was expecting to like feel super good. And then I didn't. I was like, okay, so I'm not trans. But actually it takes time. Like
it does.
It's scary the first
time. And I
time.
remember in the beginning before I felt like I had come far at all in my transition, especially when I was in certain scenarios. So like let's say I was out with a group of friends and they would use it to like a server or to somebody who came up to us. But let's say I was like that particular day, I was not dolled up the way I would want to be. I felt like, oh, what are they gonna think?
Yes.
And I got in my head, I got scared. But then as time has gone on, now like when people say the wrong thing, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Are you blind? The fuck is wrong with you?
If someone would say she to me,
yeah, she's great. Sorry.
You
we
have
we
to- for
have
the-
we
for
have
the
that kind of
views, for the
vibe. We
clickbait.
have that kind of vibe. It's
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay.
Yeah, love you.
Yeah, he can use that for us.
So stupid.
What
Hey.
was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But
I
what's
didn't-
she gonna say?
on Pride Month. No, it's July.
It's July
Lucky
now.
you,
Sorry,
lucky
it's
you,
over.
lucky
It's
you.
over.
Um,
Over.
At the beginning, when people were using she, her, it didn't feel bad
Mm.
because people were using it my whole life,
Mhm,
my entire life,
mhm.
and now it feels bad. Or
Yeah.
sometimes it's just funny if it's someone transphobic. I'm just like, come
Dumb
on,
bitch.
like, really? Like,
Yeah.
I know, like,
Yeah.
anyway. But I think before you were saying that, like, different experiences like makeup and stuff like that, and I think that is such an important point because I doubted for so long about my gender,
Mm.
and I was overthinking. I never overthought. No, I was overthinking like never before,
Mm.
and the only thing that changed it was that I stopped thinking and just started trying things.
And I can attest, he did stop thinking.
And I'm happy I did.
Yeah.
Honestly, I did so many great things by not thinking. I would have never come to Sweden if
No.
I actually thought about it.
No.
Because it would be too scary. But like, no, but for real, like, stop thinking. Just do what makes you happy or try. I'm not saying you should like chop off your tits after a week.
Yeah.
But like, you can do little things like just try. Just for example, I remember one time I was overthinking, am I a boy, am I a girl, what am I, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And I was wearing my binder
Mm.
because I felt dysphoric.
Mm.
So naturally my body was doing things that made me feel better while I was overthinking and still doubting.
Yeah.
Or for example, I was like, oh, what should be my pronouns, blah blah blah, while I was like looking up boys' names.
Mm.
Or like stuff like that. And like I think naturally deep down you already are who you are, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. It's
for
just that
sure.
you have so much social pressure and everything, and your brain has been trying to protect you your whole life
Mm.
of not getting bullied and not getting
Mm.
killed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That it like will deny any sign.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like experience with like different names, pronouns, like whether it's like on internet or whatever, or like soaps, perfumes, clothes, everything.
Mm.
I guess if it's like trans femme, also makeup or stuff like that can help.
Yeah.
And even for trans men, sometimes you can do like masculine
Mm.
makeup or I don't know. And that will give you so many more answers than actually just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because then it will feel right at some point.
That's the thing. I
Mm.
agree with you because I did the same. I thought about it for so long
Mm.
and like I was debating it in my head for so long. I remember I would look back at my camera album and I found a video that was like me right now. And then it was like the non-binary flag and the trans flag. And it was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth because I was like non-binary for a very long time. That was my stepping stone. I was
Mm.
only an identity for myself, really. Didn't really talk about it
Mm.
outwardly. But I sent it, I think I sent it in like a group chat to Benji and Tess, or somebody. I don't even remember, but it was like a long time ago. And like that was, I think 2 years before it came out. And like, I know I was thinking about it even longer before that, but I was just thinking about it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I need it. But it took time. It took time. It took a long time. And then once I actually started doing stuff that was towards the direction of like exploring more femininity in a, I guess, like a bit more conventional way, I was like, oh, yeah, that felt great. That felt great. And I think then that it just made it easier to kind of be
Yes,
myself.
Because in the beginning, without the experiences, when you just think, well, it's all just theories.
Yes.
If I do that, maybe I'll feel that. If I do that, maybe I'll be happier, blah, blah, blah. But once you start experiencing, like, oh, I know that I actually feel happy when this happens. So I want more of this.
Yes.
So it's going from theoretical to actually practical.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And I think that process is, it can be very tough, but it's also very rewarding. And it's very nice once you get to where you feel
It feels so
more comfortable.
I would like so at peace also with yourself, and so like also there's so much self-confidence that comes from being yourself no matter what,
100%.
and that also like applies to other part of your life and yourself. like I was such a people pleaser, and I would
Mhm.
never trust my opinion or
Yeah.
how I felt about things. Like if somebody said, "Oh, I don't like this song," I would never say, "Oh, I do,"
Mm.
because I was like, then I probably have bad taste if like
Yeah.
somebody. But now that I know that there's nothing shameful about who I am, gender wise, also started realizing that it applies to everything actually,
Mm.
and that like it helps being more authentic to yourself in every aspect of your life. And I think that's a beautiful thing about transness.
Yeah.
Mm.
I agree.
And I think something that also, because we said that something else that can make it easier to go out of the overthinking phase maybe is your environment and the people you are with. Like
Yeah.
I have an example, and this was with me realizing I liked girls, not the transness, but
Mm.
it works with both. Is that I used to have a friend group who was very, very homophobic and also transphobic, but that wasn't even an option.
Right.
That was like
Yeah.
not even, so very homophobic, and so I was in such denial about everything. And then I left to England, to another school, and had a friend group who was very open about everything. And I think 2 weeks after I arrived in the school, I realized I liked girls.
Mm.
And there's this thing with your brain that again overthinks to protect you.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I think my brain realized, oh, you're safe now, so I can tell you, I can let you know, or like you
Yes.
can,
Yep.
So I think if you're overthinking a lot, if you're afraid of being trans, because that's what it is,
Yeah.
being with people who actually support you and love you for who you are, or like even if it's on the internet, having someone who supports you can help so much with that process.
No, I hear you. And I agree. And like, that's also the thing when you're around community in a different way, like you really start dissecting those kind of things in a different way. And you feel like if you have more people around you that make you feel comfortable to think about it and who maybe bring those thoughts up in a good way, it's easier for yourself to also just start getting into it all. So yeah, I agree with you.
Like all of my friends are queer right now, or really good allies. I don't think I could go back to like my old friend group. Like,
no,
it's crazy how much it affects the way you think about yourself.
I have this issue. I'm sorry. I have a hard time being friends
Cancelled.
with anyone. No, I have a hard time being friends with people who are cis and straight. At least when they're like both cis and straight. Like,
but you don't mind dating conservative guys.
yes, I do. I went on one date. My God, calm down.
Sorry, I had to call you out.
I didn't realize until I was on the date. But it was fun to.
No, sorry.
I'll
But
save that topic.
But you had a good point.
I'll save that
I
topic
just
for
had to
another
say
time.
it. Okay. No, but for real, like I feel
Yeah.
kind of. No, I don't feel bad about it. Like
No,
I
me
love hanging
neither.
out with trans
I get so
people.
bored. Like, I'm sorry, I get so bored around people who are cis and straight.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, because the thing is, I always just feel like those people are so like strapped in with society's thoughts.
But that's what we said before with authenticity. Is like
Yeah.
when you're trans, you become so much more yourself in everything, and so then sometimes with not all cis people, not all men, but but a lot of them, you're like just like they're not really themselves.
No.
And it feels so weird when you're used to being around so many people who are not ashamed anymore to being themselves.
Yep.
Mm.
100%. 100%. And I think also it just like when people get the struggles, I guess, in a sense, I feel so much more comfortable because then I'm like, yeah, we got each other. We know it, like we know what's up. Like,
there's a sense of connection you can't have with other people.
There
and
is.
I think there's that with other minorities also, like people who are disabled, people of color, or stuff like that. That like other people don't necessarily understand your struggles.
No, no, for sure. And I think when when you have that connection with people, it is hard to explain to other people. I think especially right now when things are as crazy as they are in society, we're just kind of just fucking trying to get by, trying to live and be ourselves. It's kind of like, it's nice to know that you have people around you who are going to love you and appreciate you regardless. And also one thing that I've been so incredibly like thankful for and grateful for with like getting to know you and like you and Benji doing the company together is like I get to work with people who actually
Mm.
appreciate me and like
Mm.
who see me for me and don't necessarily treat me like I'm fucking dust on the floor, because that was my last job.
Mm.
I've talked about it a bunch, but like, oh my god, it was really bad.
Mm.
And like I felt crazy whenever, like I felt crazy all the time. Like there was so many comments where I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Mm.
And I would never, I never felt like I could be fully myself with those people. Whereas now when I'm with y'all, like, first of all, I feel so much more comfortable. I have so much more fun. Like when we have our photo shoots, like I'm smiling ear to ear. I don't think you guys understand. You've seen me. Like I have so much fun because I get to do something that I'm passionate about with people who see me for it. It's crazy. And to other people, that's just their normal.
Yeah, it's a funny to think about because
You
I was
know?
like, because when you're only with trans people, also you can not think, or at least you think less. But almost when I'm with trans people, I almost don't think about my transness.
Same.
And so you can just live your life.
Yeah.
And which is just how other people live.
Yes, it's wild.
But so it's so nice to just also with the company, like I only work with trans people, or like 90% of people are trans people, and so it's so nice to just be able to live your life and just do things, and then sometimes I forget about it because like all my friends are trans and everybody I work with is trans, so then sometimes I go see other friends group or like just people who are straight. I'm like, oh right, cis people. But not necessarily in a bad way, or I'm not saying cis people are mean or anything, of course not. Like so many cis people are so supportive of trans people, but it just there's such a beautiful sense of like connection and understanding that you can have with trans people that
For
like,
sure.
I'm so grateful for.
No, I feel the same. I really do. So yeah.
And I think it's also probably why there's so many queer people in, or minorities in general, in cities.
Yeah.
Because then you can find people like you and have such a better life than when you're in a village in the middle of nowhere and just like the
For
only
sure.
fucking journey.
Yeah, no, like I could never. Oh, I feel really bad for people who are born in teeny tiny towns.
I was born not even in. I
True.
was born in a house in the middle of a fucking forest.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So I feel bad for you.
yeah, it was not nice.
So I understand why
yeah.
people move. I do. I think I would go crazy. I'm born in Stockholm, so at least for me, I've had that part. But even to me, I find Stockholm small.
Stockholm is small.
It is small. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to move to New York.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Me too.
Yeah.
But when Donald Trump is out of.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe a few more years after that. And he's
really.
But it takes time.
Yeah, but New York is kind of chill compared to the rest.
That's true.
Because if you go to Utah.
That's true. That's very true.
Or Texas.
Yeah. We'll see. I might do that. I also want to like be very international. I want to have, that's another topic. But like I want to be working around and doing different things in different places and having fun. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, we are back after a very rude little interruption. Or my camera, she overheated, girl. So
we're too hot. Too hot.
Up in here. So we are gonna do a little bit of a listener question in today's episode. I actually really like this one. It's a good topic. I do not think that I have talked about this one or answered this one before. If I have, my bad. Anyway, so the question is, often one is more passing and fitting into gendered beauty standards when dressed than when one eventually undresses as it gets to sex. So I feel there's the danger that the other person might find me attractive when we meet, but lose that attraction in this vulnerable moment when we undress right as we're about to have sex. Is that a reasonable fear? Is it a fear you share, and how do you deal with it? Of course, the bottom line is, thank God the trash is taking itself out, but that doesn't make me feel less vulnerable. Do you wanna start?
I definitely relate to that question. It's definitely something very scary. I think also because like people see me dressed every day, so I am accepted as I am every day. But it's very, very rare that people see me undressed. like it happened once. It happened once in the last year. So no, I definitely relate with it. It's very scary, and I think it's already scary for cis people,
Mm.
and for trans people, it's very scary.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, go on if you want to say
Yeah, no,
something.
I was just gonna say that I feel you. I feel you.
Mm.
It is a tough subject. It is also like it is scary like meeting somebody and like fully just being vulnerable and open with that person. Like if somebody turns you away, it can feel like such a like ding to your little
Ouch.
to your little
I would cry for a week.
you know, it's not a fun feeling. I've definitely experienced this where I feel like, ew, okay, like this person did not feel
Mm.
as attracted, or like it definitely does happen, and I think it's unfortunate. Like
But I think sometimes it's not even that they're not attracted; it's that they're so afraid of it.
that
Like
too.
that, or like of the unknown of like what do I do? What like nobody was prepared for like trans people. Or like I don't know how to say. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's definitely partly that. I think it's also partly like some people might have an idea of what it might be like, and then it might be a little bit different in person, and then you know that might be a little bit of like a, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Mm.
So then there are a lot of things with it that just can be very hard, I would say. Hard to deal with. I know I personally have struggled a lot with this of the feeling like, especially I think in the beginning of my transition, I felt a lot of type of way about that because there were a lot of different guys who I met who made me feel kind of trash about myself. And people have done that like my entire sex life, to be honest. Unfortunately, I've dealt with a lot of like flat out assholes. That sounded very funny in the context we're talking about. But you get what I mean. Like
Metaphorically.
yeah, metaphorically. Like
well, both.
yes. I think I've definitely dealt with that. So I have a hard time sometimes believing that a person might actually be fully attracted to me. So I almost like want to like test them to make sure, like not test them, but I'm like I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you're like still interested? Or like maybe let's say I'm not like fully shaved that one day or whatever. I'm like, are you 100% sure? And that's my own insecurity, but it comes from also having been vulnerable before and then being treated like trash. So it is, I wouldn't say, like, I think now I'm a little bit more selective of, okay, who am I fine with? It's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better. And I think I've gotten better at finding people who I feel comfortable with. I like to talk to people a longer time before we actually meet and so on and so forth. And
Yeah.
kind of feel out the vibe a little bit. And I think you...
And take it step by step can also help. Because you already feel the vibe, kind of like, how do they feel about kissing you?
Yeah.
How do they feel about doing that? This and that. And you can already like feel more and more safe.
For sure. So there are definitely like telltale signs on the way, like you say, like how are they acting when you're just kissing, even if it's dressed versus undressed and stuff like that. And I think also another thing that kind of helps is if you find certain people that you vibe with and you get to know each other and then you have sex and then the sex feels good, and maybe can try and meet that person more often instead of like finding new people to hook up with often. I do both, but that's another story. And yeah, I don't know what to tell you more than that.
I was gonna say, like, I wish I could have advice for that, because I'm struggling with it too, to be honest. Yeah,
it's a part
I just
of the
get really drunk, and that's what I'm
let's not do that. Let's
just
not,
take drugs.
please. Oh
just...
no. That is not. That's
no,
not what we're doing up in here.
That was a joke.
That's not what we're doing up in here.
No, but it is hard. Like,
it is.
I am struggling with it too. It like, I'm sure most trans people struggle with it. Like, because as I said, cis people already struggle with it. So trans people, that's even harder.
Yeah. I think unfortunately also the part that sucks ass is that if somebody then does make you feel comfortable about something that you might be dysphoric about, you might get worse.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's definitely happened to me multiple times.
But like, what seems surprising is like, for me, it's hard even in T4T relationships.
I get that.
Yes.
I get that.
Even there, I'm like, I think for me, it's just like depending on the person who have they been with before. And then I compare myself with like, But fortunately, my ex, who was also a trans woman, has changed so much how I see my body because she was so positive about it. So definitely, of course, I understand your fear and how, why you're scared and why you might not want to do it. And at the same time, if you can be vulnerable with the right person, it can do the opposite, which is I'm so much more confident with my body and I feel so much more better about what I have between my legs because of her, because of how she reacted. So it is scary, but if you find someone you're comfortable with and you take it slow and like step by step, it can definitely also help with dysphoria.
Yeah. I think another aspect of it could also be like to try and talk about it. Like, I think a big part is communication, right? So
it's always communication.
It's
It's always
communication.
the fucking communication.
But like there, it could just be like making sure to mention to the person like, hey, I'm a little bit nervous, or I feel a little bit or like I feel a little bit, you know, insecure, and I'm just letting you know that that's part of this.
And that might even make them feel better because they probably also feel scared. Because like, as I said, with the T4T relationship, it was my first time with a trans woman. And I was also scared, not because I didn't accept her as a trans woman, but just I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And she felt the same about me. And I think if you communicated it, like, even if it's a cis person or whatever, if you say that you're afraid, then it opens the door for them to say that they also don't know what to do. And then you can communicate and it feels less awkward, I think.
Exactly. No, 100%.
There's less pressure.
Yeah. For sure.
So talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Communication is key.
Communication.
But yeah. All right, everybody. This has been a very fun and a little bit ADHD chaotic episode.
Yes.
I hope that you've enjoyed, and don't forget to leave a like, a comment, subscribe wherever you are, and yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. And thank you very much for being on the podcast.
It was my pleasure.
Today.
Really. Thank you for having me.
And you're very welcome back whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can talk about literally so many different things.
Yeah.
So, yes. All right. So love you guys, and see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.